Imagine you are sitting in a dimly lit, cozy corner of a small bookstore cafe called the Velvet Page. The air is thick with the scent of old paper, roasted espresso, and the soft rain tapping against the window panes. In this quiet sanctuary, two people, Julian and Clara, are sharing a small wooden table. They think they are just having a conversation about poetry and architecture, but if you look closely, their bodies are telling a much more complex and ancient story. Understanding the silent language of attraction isn't about being a mind reader. It is about becoming a keen observer of the tiny, often subconscious signals that the human body leaks when it feels a genuine connection. The first subtle shift happens almost immediately as their coffee arrives. Watch how Julian positions himself. He isn't just sitting in his chair, he is slowly, almost imperceptibly, closing the gap between them. This is the first signal of attraction, often referred to as the magnetic pull of proximity. When we are drawn to someone, our brain's limbic system overrides our logical personal space requirements. We naturally lean in because we want to be closer to the source of our interest. It is a biological urge to minimize the distance. Notice how Julian's torso is angled directly toward Clara, creating an invisible bubble that excludes the rest of the room. He is creating an intimate stage where only the two of them exist. If Clara were uninterested, she might lean back or place her bag on the table to create a physical barrier. Instead, she rests her chin on her hand, tilting her head slightly, mirroring his forward momentum. This lack of resistance to his closeness is a loud, silent confirmation that his presence is welcome. As the conversation deepens, the second signal becomes visible if you look directly into their eyes. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul, but scientifically, they are the windows to the autonomic nervous system. When Julian looks at Clara, his pupils dilate slightly. This is a physiological response known as mydriasis, triggered by a surge of dopamine and oxytocin when we see something we find appealing or exciting. But there is more to it than just the pupils. Observe the path of Clara's gaze. She isn't just looking at Julian's eyes. Her focus follows a specific pattern known as the triangular gaze. Her eyes flick from his left eye, down to his lips, over to his right eye, and then back up. This indicates a level of attraction that goes beyond polite friendship. It is a subconscious way of scanning the face for emotional cues while being drawn to the mouth, which is the center of communication and intimacy. When someone lingers on your lips during a conversation, they aren't just listening to your words, they are physically drawn to you. The third signal is perhaps the most fascinating because it happens entirely without their knowledge. It is the phenomenon of mirroring or limbic synchrony. Watch as Clara takes a small sip of her chai latte. A mere 3 seconds later, Julian reaches for his espresso and takes a sip as well. When she crosses her legs toward him, he shifts his weight to match her posture. This is the ultimate sign of rapport. Our brains are hardwired with mirror neurons that fire when we see someone else performing an action. When we like someone, we subconsciously synchronize our movements with theirs to demonstrate that we are on the same wavelength. It is a primal way of saying, I am like you, and I am with you. This rhythmic dance builds a sense of safety and mutual understanding. If you ever want to test the level of connection in a room, try changing your posture slightly, perhaps leaning back or crossing your arms, and see if the other person follows suit within a minute. If they do, the invisible threads of attraction are being woven. As their laughter dies down into a comfortable silence, the fourth signal makes its debut. This is the breaking of the touch barrier. It starts small, almost appearing accidental. Clara reaches across the table to point at a line in a book Julian brought, and her fingers briefly, lightly brush against the back of his hand. In any other context, this might be ignored, but here the air practically hums with the contact. Physical touch is a high-risk, high-reward signal. By initiating a small, non-threatening touch, one person is testing the waters to see how the other reacts. Notice how Julian doesn't pull his hand away. Instead, he lingers in that shared space, perhaps even leaning his hand closer to where she touched him. This lingering contact releases a small hit of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It is a way of moving from the intellectual realm of conversation into the physical realm of attraction. These micro-touches, a hand on an arm, a brush of a shoulder, or the removing of a stray thread from a coat, are deliberate attempts to bridge the gap and establish a deeper physical intimacy. The fifth signal is found in the way they share joy. Julian tells a self-deprecating joke about his first day teaching, and Clara erupts into a genuine, throat-clearing laugh. But watch her eyes as the laughter begins to fade. She immediately looks at Julian to see if he is laughing too. This is the glance of validation. When we find something funny or exciting, we instinctively look at the person we are most attracted to in the group to share the moment. It is a subconscious search for a shared emotional frequency. Furthermore, notice the nature of their teasing. It is playful and light, a form of prosocial teasing that builds a unique private language between them. They aren't just laughing at a joke. They are building a wall around their shared humor that nobody else can climb. The final truth about reading these signals is that you must look for the pattern, not just the isolated event. A single lean or a solitary laugh might mean very little on its own. However, when you see a cluster of these behaviors, the leaning in, the dilated pupils, the rhythmic mirroring, the subtle touches, and the seeking of shared laughter, you are witnessing the undeniable evidence of human attraction. It is a beautiful, complex tapestry woven from hundreds of tiny threads. In the quiet corner of the velvet page, Julian and Clara finally stand up to leave, their movements still perfectly synchronized. They don't need to say the words out loud yet. Their bodies have already spent the last hour shouting it to the room. By paying attention to these 5 signals, you gain the ability to navigate the social world with a much clearer map, understanding the unspoken desires that drive us all.